Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. It's Paulie Esther here. And yesterday the devs held their Ask Me Anything session over on Reddit. They have been advertising this on Twitter and yesterday was the day. We're back around the campfire. Bring your questions about the game, the store, or anything else in the entity's realm to our Ask Me Anything. Join us now on Dead by Daylight Reddit to submit your questions and we'll begin answering them around 1:30 p.m. Eastern. So just as we did the last time they had one of these Ask Me Anythings, I'm going to go through and read every question that was answered by the devs. But first we need to figure out who were the devs who were answering these questions. So they have the list here. We're excited to have the following members of the development team present to answer your questions. Dave Richard, the senior creative director. I guess I should say Dave Richard because that's the way he says it. But my dad was a big Maurice Richard fan for the Montreal Canadiens hockey team. And that's the way I was always taught to say the last name of Richard for people from Quebec. But, you know, I'm going to respect Dave and his name. He goes by Dave Richard, so we're going with that. Vikram Mehta, senior product manager, and Rose Lee, the senior product manager. I see her name on a lot of the cosmetic vlogs. Matt S., design director, and Mandy, the lead community manager. All right, so in the interest of saving me time going through everybody's questions and announcing who answered them, instead of me digging through all the answers, what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to use this handy dandy the answer compilation from the dev team that the mod Decuter put on here, because it'll be much easier than me digging through all the questions and answers. But I won't be able to give credit to the people who asked the questions because that's not the way they set up this compilation. So apologies that I'm not giving credit to the people who come up with these big brain questions, but also at the same time, you won't get any of my ire when I complain about you getting 4 of your questions answered out of the 50 questions that are here, right? All right, so here we go. We're going to get right into it. Does hitting the thumbs up on a player who was good to play with do anything? Do you actively use the data at the moment? I'd love to believe that sending positive feedback has positive effects. Good question. It is monitored, though there is presently no direct incidents. That said, all data is good data for us, and we encourage players to continue to show their appreciation this way. We're looking for more actionable items with this feature in the future, Vikram says. I never use, like, the thumbs up thing, so to know that it might have some impact in the future, yeah, I would definitely use it more, obviously, but I never, ever use the thumbs up. Hey, is it possible to tell about the situation of the fast vaults? What's causing the bug? If there's an estimated date for the fix or any other details. Thank you in advance. Mandy says, we are aware of the inconsistencies surrounding the fast vault animation for survivors and are anticipating addressing this in an upcoming PTB. So right now we're being told that male survivors vault further through a window than the female survivors do. I believe that's the issue going on right now with the fast vault animations. Can we get perk trending updates more frequently? I think this kind of information will be very much welcome in the community and also a good way to get community feedback. Mandy says, we're definitely looking at sharing more stats over the coming months. Stay tuned. Yeah, I like that they put out those statistical things. I think that's very interesting and you know, helps with transparency so we can see trends and things and potential problems in the community through that stuff. Will Five Nights at Freddy's ever be in Dead by Daylight in the near future? Dave says, never say never. Of course, we have to have a FNAF question in here, right? So many people ask for that as a DLC. Do you have any plans to remove the Prestige 1 requirement for auto blood webs? Yeah, that really feels bad. It just feels like an unnecessary restriction to have, especially when a new character drops. Even new players have mentioned how tedious it actually is. There are improvements already planned and players can expect them in the near future, Vikram answers. That's great because I understand the need, like, as a brand new player to not give them auto blood web purchase so they can actually, like, look through and read what they're buying to have a greater understanding of how the blood web works. But, you know, now that we have auto blood web, when you get a brand new character, it is so tedious to go through and buy the webs on slow mode. I mean, I guess we have like medium mode where you can pick the end of the blood web tree. But it's very tedious until you get to Prestige 1, and then you can start flying with the auto blood web. Back in my day, I had to buy every single node individually. You kids don't know how easy you have it with your auto blood web nowadays, and it's still not good enough. You're complaining. All right. I had to buy my blood web nodes uphill both ways each to school every day. All right, here we go. I really enjoyed the PTB that was just for auto Moris and felt like the community's feedback mattered. Are there plans to do future PTBs to test out big mechanic changes like that? Yes, Dave says. Organizing PTBs can be tricky for many reasons, but the information and feedback we get from them are vital. Not every feature and change will go through a PTB like the chapters, but I'm hopeful it'll happen again. That said, we monitor the community's feedback even when we do not go through a PTB, so please continue to share what's on your mind. Are there any plans on adding so this, if you don't know, this is talking about the base kit unbreakable and having the end game finisher when the last person was down, it was like automatically moried, and they backtracked on all that, didn't go through with that as of yet. So that's what that's talking about, that one PTB we had. Are there any plans on adding the perk randomizer that we had for a tome challenge in the past as a permanent feature? I had a lot of fun trying to get value out of a randomized build and would love to see it as a permanent option that you can choose while selecting your loadout. Perk randomizer was a great initiative, Vikram answers, and we are hoping to bring it back in the future in some shape or form. That really was fun. I don't know how much I would use it if it was an option to just like have randomized perk. It might be like a challenge that chat could make me do on stream, but yeah, I think it's a neat thing for sure. Can you change the color of the fog to match the map? Black fog is great for obscuring things on dark maps, but just make things stand out more on bright maps like Coldwind and Ormond. Interesting. I never thought about that before. Dave says, like most elements in DBD, the environment, atmosphere, and lighting are in constant flux in time. Updates to our technology, knowledge base, and experience will affect how we tackle and push forward our vision for art direction. Thank you for sharing your preference. How do you strike a balance between balancing perks for the average player versus more experienced players? I often see streamers talking about the spreadsheet and how some perks seem to be nerfed or buffed strictly based on usage numbers. Thanks and love the game. Great question, Matt answers. That's certainly a hard one when it comes to balancing a live game. When we release new perks, we consider both new and experienced players and try to provide something interesting for both groups of players. That's very true. Like, I noticed that when characters comes out, there's like something hardcore, something like basic for that brand new players could get value out of, and something intermediate generally for most characters' perks. When it comes to usage rates and win rates, these are certainly data points that we consider. However, they never tell the full picture. There are many other pieces of information we need to analyze before we commit to any specific design. Simple one. What are you guys planning on doing with skull merchants? I haven't played a single game versus a skull merchant that didn't camp 3 gens from the start, and I'm sick of having my game held hostage just because the killer can. Matt answers, hey there, yeah. We're certainly aware. I'm reading it in my own tone. I don't know if Matt said, yeah. That's what I'm going with. I'm inferring my own emotions into this. Hey there, yeah. We are certainly aware that the Skull Merchant is very good at locking down generators in certain situations. We have a big rework plan for a future release. There's too much detail to go into here, but we'll be releasing more information soon. Yeah, I'm very curious to see how this works, because it's not like a 3-gen strategy has been a new thing. Like, for years, there's been characters like Hag, Trapper, who lock down 3 gens with the tools at their disposal. And having said that, there's never been this outcry that, 3-genning is bad until the Skull Merchant, because the Skull Merchant is just so good at it. So I'm just wondering where other characters who, were thriving in 3 gens but weren't unstoppable forces, where they're going to be left if, like, they're taking away the ability to 3 gen entirely with game changes. So stay tuned for how that's all going to shake out. Are you planning to revisit Susie and Joey's voices from the Legion? It seems like one of the things that seems dated today with such a unique cast of voice actors for the other characters in the game and their possible increase in popularity thanks to their comic books. Not planned, but thank you for shining a light on it. I never really, I don't know. Why do they think that? Oh, I see what they're saying. Because they're saying that Susie and Joey don't have unique voices compared to Frank and Julie. I got you now. Yeah, good. Yeah, you're right. Thank you for shining a light on that indeed. That's a good point. Maurice is the horse. Maurice is the horse in Crotus Pen Asylum. Jacques is the vulture on Dead Dog. I thought it's Jacques. I thought it's Wingy McFlapflaps. But they said canonically that Vulchi's name is Wingy McFlapflaps. Where did this Jacques thing come from? What other animals have names in the Dead by Daylight dev team? That's a hard question. Maurice is the only horse with an official name. All the other animals are not horses. What is it Kayla Flower had named the cow? Moo the cow? Son, do you remember the name of the cow in Larry's? And then I heard that Pabo is the name of the rat in Larry's too, but I don't know. Nothing canon from the devs. Have you talked about revisiting original set cosmetics to see if it would be possible to split them up or even split them into a 2-piece set with the 3rd piece being mix and matchable? Though in the last AMA it sounded like this isn't planned anymore whatsoever. Could we get clarification on that? And also, if I recall correctly, the license holder of the Silent Hill content have said that the set cosmetics being sets is something in Behavior's hands. So would it be possible to have some of the Cheryl cosmetics be split up? Yeah, there's a couple of Cheryl cosmetics that are sets that don't seem like they necessarily need to be. We still wish to have 2-piece sets instead of 3-piece sets, and while this is not on the roadmap yet, it's been on our backlog and will be addressed once we have the proper tools in place. That's from Rose. As I said, she usually fields the cosmetic answers. Love her blogs. What's been going on with your cosmetic descriptions lately? They've become very terse. We've been experimenting with description templates in an attempt to standardize text in the store. We've heard your feedback and we will be improving the process and the content. Interesting. When is the Iron Maiden collection coming? Oh, did somebody group these together? No, it's just a coincidence that it's 3 cosmetic questions in a row? Alright. When is the Iron Maiden collection coming? How many Eddie skins are we getting? I hope to see the first album Eddie for Legion. It fits so perfectly, especially with the Sanctuary cover. I should throw up a cover of Sanctuary here on this if I remember. The Iron Maiden collection will be coming out early next year, and there'll be a full collection of Eddies, and they will all look super cool. I can't wait to see those. Are there any plans to allow survivors to see their teammates' perks in the pre-game lobby? Maybe? P.S. I've been told that I can't answer maybe to these questions, so I will reply with a solid, I decline to answer that question. You know how some people had that test where you could see your perk loadout in the lobby? Is another one of these hidden tests that some people got and some people didn't. I didn't get that one. I wonder if that was a test for something like this, being able to see loadouts. Do you have any plans to adjust any Blight add-ons? Oh, this would be an interesting question. Many of them are quite strong, mainly Alchemist's Ring, Adrenaline Vial, and the Speed add-ons. We're looking into a Blight update for the near future. Unfortunately, nothing to share at this point. Too many other things in the works lately. but the pinball champ is definitely on the list. There are a lot of people who complain that white add-ons are just way too strong, so we'll see what happens with that. Will there be any options for changing the brightness in the game? I feel like this would help console players and content creators. We're looking into future customizable options within the platform's regulations and guidelines. It's important for us to always consider the playing experience for all involved, says Dave. Will you ever consider making figures, statues, or more of them aside from a single Trapper Nendoroid or a few U2s? There's zero in the market. Horror is such a big fan base, especially in collecting and merchandise memorabilia. It would be cool for the Museum of Horror that is Dead by Daylight to add to that. Well, they don't know about the Kodabakaya statues or the Gecko statues. Like, I've made videos of both of these. I don't know how they could have missed. If they're a big merchandise fan, I'm surprised they don't know about the Kodabakaya or Gecko statues. Gecko statues are pretty pricey. They're like over $300 a piece, but the Kodabakaya ones are like $100, and they've even gone on sale on GameStop from time to time. Yeah, I like figures and statues. There are also some amazing Gecko statues for the Trapper, Wraith, Hillbilly, and the Spirit, and I'd be down for more, says Dave. So I have all of these except for Spirit. My Spirit is supposed to be shipping this month, I think. I've never opened, I don't know why, but I've never opened my Hillbilly box. I have my Hillbilly statue. I've had it for a year, and I've never opened it to show it off. I think I was so upset with the Trapper mask and all the wires on his mask and how easily they broke that I was just not eager to open my Hillbilly statue from Gecko, and it's been a year. So I should get to that one of these days. Are we able to customize the bots with cosmetics that we bought or earned within the Rift later or later in the future? We currently don't have any plans to customize your bots. So, bots are basic. Basic bots. Yeah, I don't know if that's a... Is there a lot of demand for that, dressing up your bots? I don't know. Shirtless Gabriel, when? In due time, stop being thirsty, says Rose. Will you bring back old cosmetics for newer players? There's a few I'd really enjoy that aren't in the store anymore. This is a good question. Event limited outfits will come back every year for new players to obtain. Same for very rare and buffed Rift outfits. However, legacy outfits will not be returning. There are a ton of Rift outfits that, you know, have not made it back into the store. Like, people have been looking for them like 9 months, a year down the road after that Rift has closed. And there's lots of options for outfits that could be released into the shop, and I'm not really sure why they aren't. But Legacy will not be returning. That's very steadfast opinion. I don't think they have any intentions on budging on that. Do you plan on some sort of cosmetic milestone for hitting a P100 on a character? That's a good question too. I know it's an achievement to reach a character that high, but beyond a bloody outfit and 3 perk charms, that's a bit of a gap. So they're saying, like, from P9 to P100, there are no more rewards for prestiging your character from Prestige 9 to 100. Hello, as players who get to P100 are very, very rare, we currently don't have plans for updating P100 rewards. Thanks for bringing this to our attention. However, nothing is ever off the table. I do think it would be cool if there was some kind of a reward for getting P100. I've even seen people suggest that Legacy should be unlocked at P100, but I don't know about that. The way that they have said Legacy outfits aren't returning, people will lose their mind if suddenly P100 gets you Legacy. And then obviously only certain characters have Legacy, so you'd have to design Legacy for all the remaining characters too. Will we ever get a charm shop? I'm thinking this answer is no, but I'm curious to see what Rose says. The majority of the charms in DBD are considered unique earnables, and we don't want to stick a price tag to them, which would make them less valuable for the collection. So when people say, well, there's nothing exclusive about the Rift, the cosmetics always go back into the shop a year later, the charms are always Rift only. So there's definitely exclusivity to doing your Rifts, right? I think that's going to stay that way. Is there any chance to make iridescent shards easier to get? Yes, please. We are assessing this and may adjust it if we think it's necessary. Please, Vikram. It is so hard to get iridescent shards. I would love to see the rate increase on that. It takes you a heck of a long time to get, the 22,000 shards necessary to unlock an outfit. I think it should be easier, personally. How do you decide if a killer perk will be a hex? Matt says, if a particular perk makes sense to be a hex perk from a design, theme, narrative perspective, then we'll consider making it a hex perk and design accordingly. Usually our hex perks are a little bit stronger than regular perks, and they can possibly be destroyed throughout the match. Makes sense. Although it's only been out for a few months, Made for This has become one of the most popular survivor perks in the game. Many players, including some of the most experienced and skillful players, think this perk is too strong in the hands of good survivors and it needs to be changed. Are you guys planning any nerfs or changes for Made for This? Oh, Made for This is on the list for a bit of a touch-up soon. Geez, I don't know. It's always scary when you hear stuff like this that, you wonder if the perk is just going to go to 0 after that it'll just be complete garbage. Like, I've seen how they said that the description for Windows of Opportunity was changed by mistake, but I also kind of made me think, how does a perk that hasn't been touched in almost 2 years get the description suddenly changed? So it made me think that they were working on adjusting that, and you always fear that a perk that goes through that kind of adjustment will just go to negligible usage, kind of like, Decisive Strike, things like that, the value just goes to near 0. So we'll see what happens. And I'm not a Made for This user either, so. Are we going to have killer bots soon for both custom matches? And if a killer disconnects, would that be in the near future? While this is something we consider, we don't expect this to be implemented in the near future, Matt says. Yeah, I remember they said that programming killer bots would be more difficult, and I don't really have any interest in playing against killer bots. I played against killer bots on mobile, and I think it's kind of unfun because killer bots on mobile are omniscient. Like, you can't mind game a bot. They can see through walls and know every move that you're making and adjust to that. So I don't think it's a good idea without a lot of changes, personally. Are there any plans to support keyboard and mouse for consoles? Not planned as yet, but maybe something we'll consider in the near future. This question I see asked quite a little bit, honestly. Regarding the game's rather repetitive but still fun gameplay, can you say anything about if there will possibly be limited time game modes or permanent game modes that differ in ways from the main game mode in the future? Matt says, well, I can't say much. We have been hard at work prototyping some new things for the future of Dead by Daylight. We're aiming for 2024. We'll keep you updated. New game modes in 2024. Interesting. Is all hope permanently lost for a Myers model rework or new cosmetics? Or is it possible that a deal can be made to bring the newer movies into the license that DVD has? Don't lose all hope. There is no way to know what will happen unless you found a very good fortune teller or a time machine to visit the future. If you did, please let us know. We'd love to use the time machine to prevent Eric from doing a thing. What? Dave. So my understanding is that the license that Dead by Daylight has regarding Halloween is held to only the first movie. Having said that, I don't know of any good reason why we can't have Dr. Sam Loomis as legendary for Laurie Strode. I would love to hear a good argument against that, because Dr. Sam Loomis is in the first movie. You have the license for the first movie. There shouldn't be any good reason why you can't make Sam Loomis as a survivor. If you know of a good reason, please let me know. But other than that, they can't do anything that appears in subsequent movies. I mean, even the gown is a stretch for the Michael Myers cosmetic, you know. So, but they got there. So, bring on Sam Loomis, please, preferably for Halloween. How can DBD sustain its current development cycle? I mean, they've done it up to this point. From a player's perspective, so many add-ons, perks, mechanics, and features are heavily neglected and in desperate need of fixes and healthy updates. DBD will at some point become stupid big with its roster, whether that can be 50, 100, or 200 killers. What are you going to do then? Would it be more sustainable to slow the roll on new chapters and spend more time on evergreen content, for example, polished chapters and updates? What's the answer to this, Vikram? We're happy to see players enjoying us bringing new characters and IPs to the game at regular intervals. Having said that, we're looking into different sustainable options without compromising fun for DBD fans. Good question, but the DBD world is ever evolving. Please stay tuned to see how things mold in the future. So yeah, this is my concern, is that the game gets bigger and bigger, it becomes bloated, and if you don't have like a larger workforce to work on some of the stuff in the past, then it just sits and gets dust, and things like the Promised Twins rework, like there isn't enough manpower, there's not enough labor force to go through and polish up killers that need reworks. As the game gets bigger and bigger and bigger, there are more killers that need attention and nobody to work on them. So hopefully somebody on the team has designed, like, you know, a cold case team to go through and just work on older stuff. That would be my suggestion for an approach on it anyway. What's the reasoning behind making hooks xenomorph themed in every map instead of the usual map themed hooks? Are killer themed hooks coming back? No specific plans on reintroducing killer theme hooks. The xenomorph will only bring back victims to the hive, so we wanted to make it feel like a homecoming of sorts. Hence why the hooks are hive themed, says Dave. So back in the day, if you don't know, in Dead by Daylight, you could kind of take a peek at the hook and you would be able to tell what killer you were facing. So on any map, the killer would come with a specific set of hooks for them. So if you looked at the hook, you knew what killer it was. That changed to making the hooks map specific. So for example, like a nurse hook only appears on Asylum now, right? But if you could be on the farm and you could look at the hook and you go, oh, that's a nurse hook, we're facing a nurse. And they did away with that. But now when you face the xenomorph, the alien, they're all the H.R. Geiger themed alien hooks. And so you can look at the hook and go, oh, we're facing alien. Having said that, with all of the turret containers around, it's not that big a surprise who you're facing anyway. You would almost know instantly. So I wouldn't feel like as a xenomorph that you're giving away a lot of information, because they can look at your hook and see who you are. There's going to be turret chests all around anyway, right? So they're going to know who you are almost immediately. So it isn't giving anything away. But yeah, I don't think that, having said that, that they're going to go through and give specific hooks for every killer wherever they appear on any map in the future. Any reason as to why the Nostromo wreckage is located in the same realm as Toba Landing? Dave says, it's unclear how the entity shapes realms and maps. The, what is this? Agglomeration of different memories, mixing absolutely different locales together is not out of the question. The Nostromo never crashed. This is a nightmarish version of it, recreated by the entity. Hi, is there any chance that Vittorio gets actual medieval outfits in the near future? The latest ones are really cool, but they're just clothings which he found in the entity's realm. For example, his lore key art has a cool medieval outfit, but it's not even in the store. Yes, that's definitely a possibility. Thank you for letting us know of your preference, says Dave. Yeah, that's one thing that's really bothered me about Vittorio. It's like he's a poser, that, you know, he's become so modernized, and he doesn't really have a lot of outfits that are steeped in his own history with tunics and things like that from his time period. He's just like a man out of place from time. It's very strange. It's a very strange choice to me. I think the choice is actually leaning more towards thirst than lore with that. Like, well, we could give Vittorio a tunic, but let's just make him shirtless instead. I don't know. He's a strange anachronistic character to me. Has there been more development for a permanent solution or mechanic against killers whose main goal is protecting only 3 gens from start to finish? Thank you so much. Well, this is a repeat kind of, huh? We're looking to find a system that addresses a very specific gameplay behavior without having a major effect on other matches. It has definitely been a challenge, but it's something that we're still working on and may have a solution to share in an upcoming patch. That might be closer than I think it is then, huh? Do you guys enjoy making Dead by Daylight? And we have an image here, and when you click the image, this is Dave all wrapped up in a cozy, comfy blanket, so I guess that's a yes. I really enjoy silly trivia. What are some of the funniest internal testing bugs that you've come across? Not exactly a bug, but our prototype killers often use matchups from other killer models and animation rigs. It makes them look extra silly and scary, depending. Just imagine a bright red doctor with extended limbs and a very twisted spine. It always makes me laugh. That sounds funny. Non-technical question here. What are the dev team's favorite horror movies? I'm just curious. Mandy says The Shining. Anonymous answers Piranhas 2. The Spawning. Oh my god. Dave says, I'm too old to have favorites. Has there ever been a map setting that you've wanted to use but never had a chapter to tie it to? Oh yes, for sure. We have many ideas locked in the well of horrors. As soon as we have a fit for them, we'll let them out. Oh, a setting. Okay, I got you. Like a creepy locale for something, like a toy factory or something like that. I got you. Any plans on making more interactions in maps in the future, including already existing maps, just the way you guys did with the Nostromo by adding the levers in the spaceship for the survivors to activate them mid-chase? Yes, I think they're very interesting for discovery and gameplay possibilities. It's definitely something we want to develop again for future maps and potentially older maps as much as we can. I think that'd be really cool. Will Rainbow Burb Friends ever make it to the game as additional charms? We'll consider it, says Dave. In the previous AMA, you confirmed that Freddy will receive an update. Can you say something more about him? I would like to have the original essence of the movies, a fearsome entity from the world of nightmares, and feel fun to play, since the current Freddy is super boring and has no essence of what Freddy Krueger is. Yeah, we still plan on tweaking Freddy's gameplay. Interesting. However, our priority list has shifted as it is expected of a live game. It will happen at some stage. Well, that doesn't sound close, does it? That's Matt. Is this the last question here? Thanks for taking the time to do this AMA. I need to talk about maps and how they can have, next to the killer character, the most impact on how a match will go. The unique setting and cool visuals sometimes do not make up for the heavy inconsistency when it comes to a map design. Size, the amount of pallets, main building windows, loops next to each other, dead zones, placement of killer belongings, fixed exit gates, line of sight objectives, to only mention some key aspects. It comes to the point that one side sadly does not participate in the game anymore on certain maps, AFKing, DCing, or giving up. Are you aware of this problem? And if yes, how do you make sure this does not become a bigger issue in regard to designing new maps, not reworking older maps, and map offerings? I think map offerings are personally too strong. I don't think it should be like a 99.99% chance that you go to a map just by playing the offering. I don't like that at all, because I think it can tip the scales too much for, these reasons given above. But I'm not a dev. Yes, we're very aware. Our level designers, artists, and quality assurance teams are taking great care into designing fun spaces for the game. We want to make sure that maps introduce interesting strategies and scenarios and that they feel novel. They're built using extensive knowledge base on quantities, recipes of placement, porousness, lighting, general visibility, vegetation, etc. That said, there's not a way, not yet anyway, to be 100% sure a map will not have a circumstantial imbalance. Playing and voicing your concerns and bad experiences is one way we can address those, either at PTB or after release. The new map was always supposed to be open, or was the new map always supposed to be open, or did it change during development from an indoor map? If you're referring to the Nostromo wreckage, it was always supposed to be a mix of indoor and outdoor. We wanted to have both the claustrophobia and tight space of the ship and the scary vastness of an unknown planet feature. Hi, the Twins rework, first brought up in January 2022's dev update, has been slated for early 2024. Given the extreme low play rate of the killer in question and the long time this rework has been in the pipeline, there's been a lot of anxiety amid the Twins player base about what's going to happen, and I and others would be grateful for some insights. Should we be expecting something more akin to, for example, the Leatherface rework where his kit was polished with the token system and his add-ons were updated but his core power and identity remained largely the same, or the Doctor rework which mostly declunkified, is that in the dictionary? Which mostly declunkified the power and polished the add-ons but kept the power's functionality broadly intact. The Freddy rework, which jettisoned 95% of everything Freddy used to be and replaced it with a totally different killer power. I suppose what I'm really asking is the Twins rework going to transform the power comprehensively to the point that it bears few to no similarities to the original, like Freddy, or are we looking at something more Dr. Bubba scale, where the core gameplay remains intact? Thanks. Edit. Tweak the end of the question to be less emotionally loaded. Okay, Pixel Bush. All right. We will be releasing a Twins update soon, trademark. Currently, we're aiming for more of a tweak to the base kit and a couple of add-ons to alleviate some friction points, adjust the slugging meta, and stop Victor from getting stuck all over the map. Hopefully, there'll be more fun to play for everyone, says Matt. So 2024, I guess they're still on track for that? It can be unfair depipping most of the time for reasons out of your control, like being tunneled out early game or face camped. Moreover, these matches can also sting not only because of the depip, but because of how little blood points you get. I say this to ask, could depipping be removed or reworked, and also could we possibly get something like a blood point bonus at the end of the match for playing them out on both Survivor and Killer as well? As little as 5 or 10k at the end of a match could give more people an incentive to play out a bad match rather than DCing. I don't agree. I don't think there's any amount of blood points you could give to prevent people from DCing. We'll pass on the feedback to the team. In the meantime, we're attempting again to tackle face camping in the near future, so hopefully that solves part of your problem, says Vikram. 5 years ago, you incorporated, and the reason why I say there's no amount of blood points you could give to keep people from DCing is you see people DC with like 5 anniversary cakes in the game. So there's no amount of blood points that you could give that would encourage people to stay in game, in my opinion. 5 years ago, you incorporated a new mechanic for the game, the end game collapse. Will we see anyone soon for the early game? Will we see anyone, like any more new game mechanics? A while back, we had considered an early game phase of the game. However, we didn't feel it was necessary at that time. This isn't to say we wouldn't do something like that in the future, but for now, we don't have anything planned. The early game. I remember that. Hey guys, really glad you're doing the AMA. I've been playing the game since Chapter 13, and I'm a big fan of DBD. Are there any plans to buff and rework the shape? That's Michael Myers, if you don't know. I've been maining him since I started playing, and he feels extremely underwhelming at high MMR with absolutely zero map pressure, mobility, or slowdown. His chase power is very underwhelming compared to most of the killer roster. His early game is absolutely terrible because of his slow movement in Tier 1, meaning he has to level up into a regular M1 killer, which costs him dearly in applying early pressure. However, he is hard carried by the Tombstone perk, which is a super unhealthy add-on in nature because of its ability to instantly kill a survivor without warning, which puts him into this weird state where he's garbage without Tombstone, but unhealthy for the game with it. I don't disagree with this, and I think that like we're kind of seeing this with the Onryo, the Sadako rework too, where she can just like stare somebody out of the game super fast. So I do think that those are unhealthy for the game. Michael Myers is a beloved killer by the community, but he's a relic of old DBD, an incredibly dated power with a few bizarre hitches. He's the only killer who can totally run out of his power over the course of a match. Stalking is weirdly lessened at range when Ghost Faces isn't. An ancient model that wasn't updated when both his map and Lori were, and one incredibly powerful add-on that's unhealthy for the current state of the game. Are there plans to bring the game's first licensed chapter, a community favorite and a true icon of the horror genre, up to modern DBD's much more polished standards? Yeah, absolutely agreed. We would love to update Myers and give him the attention he deserves. No design as of yet, unfortunately. Poop. All right, is that it? Guess that's it. That is it. Concrete info about upcoming stuff. Blood Web quality of life changes in the near future. Info on a major Skull Merchant rework soon. Fast Vault update in an upcoming PTB. Made for this tweak soon. Attempt to tackle face camping in the near future. And Iron Maiden collection in 2024. Less concrete. Twins rework. Blight update to be looked at. It's on the list. Possible ways of encouraging 3-genning. Discouraging 3-genning. New game modes or something like that for 2024. Perk randomizer may come back in some form. And Freddy rework deprioritized. All right. So that's what I've got here for you. I know that was a long one, about 40 minutes. Holy cow. God bless you if you watch this whole thing. But I'm going to get out of here now and we'll end it at that. But that's your Ask Me Anything, the 50-odd questions that were answered by the devs yesterday. So that is your info if you didn't get a chance to read through it. I'll have a link if you want to reference it in the future. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you so very much for watching. As always, appreciate the time you spend here with me on my channel. Don't forget to take care of each other in and out of the fog, and we'll see you next time. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.
It's a Gen Rush life for us. It's a Gen Rush life for us. Set a hiding, we do gens. Set a randoms, we got friends. It's a Gen Rush life.